What would it be like if your kids were excited to learn? Are you looking for a less stressful learning environment for your child? Do you think critical thinking skills and creativity are an absolute must? If so, you're definitely in the right place. Hi, and welcome to the Rogue Learner podcast. I'm Jenna Reich, a former educator turned homeschooler. Much like you, I had been pondering these questions my whole adult life. As an educator, it was my goal to get my students excited about learning. However, it was clear to me right from the beginning that although some kids were enjoying my lessons, others simply weren't. No matter how hard I tried, and despite all of my silly antics, some students just weren't learning. Upon entering the education field, I immediately began wondering, how can I improve student engagement? Shortly after I started teaching, I became a parent myself, and the questions expanded to, is this content relevant to my child's future goals? I mean, will Latin come in handy if my son chooses a career in computer programming? Would his time be better spent learning how to code? And then beyond that, is this highly stressful time we're spending prepping for yet another test actually valuable? Will my son even remember the information after the exam? One of my interests back in high school was photography, but having had zero resources or mentors available to me, aside from my very basic digital camera, which I did use profusely, I never ended up learning about it. It wasn't until I graduated college that I finally found the time and resources required to actively pursue it. My husband proved to be an amazing facilitator by purchasing my very first DSLR and Photoshop as a birthday gift. I leaned on other professional photographers during that time, along with online classes and trial and error as my most used tools for learning the trade. Now, looking back on that journey, I can say with great confidence that everything I learned in that 5-year span was completely self-directed. I didn't have anyone telling me I had to complete the online assignments or take photos every day. I did it because I wouldn't have had it any other way. I stayed up into the wee hours learning Photoshop, even when I knew my infant would be ready to start the day at 6 a.m. All of that learning began by me having a true interest in photography. And guess what? I still love learning about photography. This podcast is for anyone who wants to instill a passion for learning in their child. If you're already on the self-directed learning path, let's lean on each other for support and continue to learn ways we can assist our kids and even ourselves. My ultimate goal for this podcast is to provide support, information, and inspiration to help guide you on your own learning journey. Together, we'll talk with experts who explain the benefits of self-directed learning, how we can implement it, and most importantly, what our role is in helping our kids reach their own definitions of success. We'll also discover how other families are doing it and how they're working toward the same goal. Another thing we'll work on together is reflecting back on our own perceptions and experiences in school so we can get a better understanding of our own beliefs about learning. And lastly, I'd love to uncover ways we can improve our relationships with our kids because trust is actually where it all begins. I hope to cover so much more. I plan to release the first interview in early 2021, and I'd love it if you were there. Hit subscribe if you don't want to miss the launch. Thanks, and I'll see you back here soon.